Welcome, Wargamers. Doug here from 2 Plus Stuff, and today we are going to talk about the Lumineth Realmllords. Big thank you to Games Workshop for sending me an early copy of this. I do appreciate it. And while you will be seeing a ton of other content creators putting up their reviews, their initial thoughts, competitive observations and things like that, here on 2 Plus Stuff, we steer into a different direction. So today, in this video, we're going to talk about the narrative play section, the path to glory part. Now, I cover this for a few reasons. One, nobody else is. Let's just get that out of the way. But secondly, I cover it because I do believe it is the best way to play Warhammer Age of Sigmar, at least in my opinion. Whether you are somebody who has a competitive mindset or someone who likes telling a story, the narrative missions pose challenges to both types of players. Whether it's a painting and story building one for the narrative folks, or if you're a competitive player and you view this as a puzzle and you have to think about how you build up your army and your forces and assess casualties and stuff, there's a lot there for you too. I just think it's the best. And to be perfectly honest with you, with the Disciples of Tzeentch book, they changed so little between the last book with FAQs to being the 3rd edition book. People were like, this is a letdown because it's the same, and people like me are like, well, it's great because now it has a path to glory, which we can say about the Lumineth now too. So we're going to talk all about the Path of Glory section, how the lore of this faction, and we'll explore it as we go, is brought to life on the table for you to have a slow grow league and an ongoing campaign and story for your faction. Really quickly though, if you would like to get your hands on one of these books, and if you wouldn't mind, check out Not Just Gaming. They are over on the East Coast, United States of America. Wonderful mom and pop shop that does a lot to support the channel. So you can support me by supporting them. Save yourself up to 30% on Games Workshop products, as well as a whole bunch of hobby supplies from AK Interactive, Green Stuff World, all these things. Just use the link in my description, head over there, and every little bit helps. All right, so let's go check this guy out. Okay, so sitting here, we're going to really quickly just give a brief synopsis. So the Lumineth Realmllords are the creation and personal army of Teclis, one of the twin gods of Hysh. And kind of their whole shtick is, while everybody else was having the sort of overall Age of Chaos, right, capital C Chaos, they had their own side quest as elves, where they basically blew themselves up with their own hubris and have now gone on a crusade to become, quote-unquote, one with the realms, and mend the tears in reality that are caused by chaos and its evil powers. And so they all have different disciplines of magic and arcane skill, but the overall thing is that elves are smarter than you, they know best, and they're going to fix the world whether you're in the way or not. That's the mission. And so today we're going to talk about that. How does that hubris come to the table? The magic use. We're going to just kind of explore what they're trying to bring to life with these rules. So, Path to Glory. If you're using a Realmllords army, you gain this: Purifiers of the Realms. It is the duty of the Lumineth to safeguard the mortal realms. When they triumph in a land blighted by dark powers, elven mages will summon a huge Hyshian runes, each of them which has its own arcane significance. That's actually pause. If you look at the maps earlier in the book about Hysh, you'll see huge runes carved into landscape, almost like Grand Canyons, but carved into specific words and stuff. They're words of power to bind chaos to keep it out. It's cool. Once complete, miles-wide lines of white fire burn the symbol into the earth, cleansing it of all the deepest taint. I'm 12, y'all, though often at the cost of immolating anything nearby. If you win a major victory in a Path to Glory battle, you can say that the Senari, which is their mage caste even within their own rank, will seal the battlefield and brand the earth with one of the runes of the Lumineth. If you do so, pick one of the following runes and apply its effect in the aftermath sequence of that Path to Glory battle. Okay, so if you win a major victory, you choose one of these. Really long way to say that. Thalari. In step 1 of the aftermath sequence, you gain 1 extra glory point for each friendly Lumineth Realmllord that survived the battle. Okay. What's nice is you can pick this once the victory is determined. So if you know that you have a lot of units compared to your opponent, that would be a great one to choose. In step 7, this is for the second one, O'Reilly. In step 7 of the aftermath sequence, reduce the cost of adding, recuperating, or reinforcing the Lumineth Realmllords unit that took part in the battle by 1. Okay. So just pick a unit their cost goes down. That could be very situational, but very useful. Elathi. In step 5 of the Aftermath sequence, if you upgrade your stronghold, reduce the cost of upgrading it by 10. Very cool. Next one is Injokuli. In step 6 of the Aftermath sequence, you choose to upgrade a territory you control, reduce the cost of upgrading. Ingra. In step 2 of the Aftermath sequence, do not make injury rolls or casualty rolls for friendly Lumineth Realmlord units that took part in the battle. What? That's amazing. So you don't take any injury rolls. If you win a major victory, you can say that the scenario will heal the battlefield if you do so, blah, blah, blah. That's just straight if you win the battle. That's a toughie. I'm going to loop back on that with my final thoughts. Senluai. In step 3 of the Aftermath sequence, each friendly Lumineth Realmlord that survived the battle gains 1 extra renown point. And Senthoi. Pick one friendly Lumineth Realmlords unit that's not a hero that survived the battle. In the next battle you fight against another Path to Glory army, before deployment, you can give that unit 1 veteran ability that can only be used in that battle. Okay, so you can give someone a once per battle buff, really, but it's just for that next battle. And Eleven. In step 3 of the Aftermath sequence, you can pick 2 friendly Lumineth Realmlord units that took part in the battle to be your favored warriors instead of 1. So let's give some thoughts on these. If you win a game, it has to be a major victory, which is important, you get to pick one. There are some clear winners and losers here, and that's not in a good way. Ingra being able to avoid casualty and injury rolls for units that took part in the battle. If it was 1 unit or 2, maybe even 3, I would be like, that's totally fine, right? It might be an auto choice if you just suffered casualties. But like this allows you in Path to Glory to ignore one of the fundamental parts of the whole campaign and what makes it fun. And I don't really care for that. Like taking losses and stuff, there's no thing that I saw where it says you can't choose the same one every time. So this is an auto one. If you play in a gaming group and you start with Lumineth Realmlords and you play everybody, and it doesn't matter if you're winning or not. If you're just clocking them and they are taking casualty rolls, they're having units sit out, and you're not, you're doing good. Like, you're going to wear your own gaming group down in 3 days or 3, meetups, whatever. It could be 3 weeks. But that's crazy. I don't like that exists. But whatever. I'm not going to, whatever. I would never begrudge anyone for using it. The biggest thing is that it just doesn't, there's nothing that says you can't just keep using it. If it was like a once every 5 games or something, there's a lot of ways to make it work. I just don't think it's good as is. Compared to some of these other ones that they just don't seem great. Like, you gain a veteran ability that can only be used in the next battle. Okay, well, why would I ever do that over, say, choosing 2 favored warriors, and trying to get them to actually be a veteran of the next level to have this ability permanent? Like, these two don't make sense together, and I think that Ilven it's always a more fun and more sensical one, right? It's cool to have 2 favored warrior units and stuff. You're still rolling a die. There's nothing guaranteed about it. It's just a fun opportunity. And then this one is like, your next game you get a minor buff to a single unit. No, the Elven is more fun even if you're rolling for it. But you're still building up 2 units to get veteran ability. I don't know. There's a lot of ones here that I like. Like, I like the nuts and bolts of the campaign one where you're reducing the cost of upgrading your stronghold. I like the upgrading territories one specifically. I love the 2 favored warriors. I think that's always fun. And then extra glory points are really cool. So like, there's a lot of cool utility things that, like, after you finish a battle, you're like, okay, what am I working on? What are my goals that I want to do for my faction? I want to expand. You lean into Elathi or whatever it's called. I love the utility there. It's just when they're so out of proportion, like Synthoi is to Ilven, and then how Ingra is to everything else, it's like, okay. Now, to be fair, if you want to use any of these other things, you can't also use Ingra, but it will very rapidly set this army apart from others that are rolling for casualties and paying for stuff. Next, we have their personal quests, of which we have 4, so let's go through those. First one, to shine across realms. The Lumineth look to establish enclaves across the realms, believing that their hard-won wisdom, insight, and culture can raise even the most wounded lands back to glory. That's a noble one. So that gives me the thought of like seeding a new place or securing an area. At the end of each Path to Glory battle, add 1 quest point to your progress of your quest log if you win a major victory. Once you've gained 3 quest points, you complete this quest. When you complete this quest, pick 1 territory you control, and that territory can be upgraded. You can upgrade that territory without spending any glory points to do so. I think that's fine. I mean, like, their mark things don't give you any extra quest points or anything like that, so you're going to be playing 3 games. It's only when you get a major victory is when you accrue one. And we'll check out their personal territories in a bit, but that's an interesting one. At least it makes use of the existing core rules. Like, not everybody gets to upgrade everything, so you could make some cool stuff there. I like that. Next one, the Gates of Enlightenment. Realm gates to Hysh are vital strategic sites for the Lumineth. To capture and cleanse these locations is of paramount importance to any Elven commander. At the end of each Path of Glory battle, add 1 quest point to the progress of your quest if you won a minor victory, and add 3 if you won a major victory. Once you've gained 3 or more quest points, you can fight the Path to Glory battle using the Vanguard of Light battle plan. We'll go check that out here in just a second. If you win a minor victory or major victory in that battle plan, you complete this quest, and the rewards for completing the quest are listed in the battle plan. So let's pause. Vanguard of Light. So we are attacking a realm gate and trying to... so I'm assuming the mission or missions that you did for the quest for enlightenment is to find the location, and this is your strike on it. For the Lumineth, capturing the Hyshian realm gate is key to expanding their influence, but these portals are often contested by powerful local warlords who will not surrender them lightly. So our battle plan we're looking at here, got a full board set up with the inside squares, those 4 in the dead center there, as being the Lumineth Realmllords territory, and there should be a Baleful Realm Gate, the terrain piece or something like it, in the absolute dead center of the board. Now let's walk through the way the deployment works, because I love when they try to translate a narrative into a rule set for us. So we talked about the battlefield. The opponent, whoever's not the Lumineth player, is called the Upstart. The Upstart can use faction terrain, which is really cool, but I don't see anything about Lumineth being allowed to. Interesting. Deployment. The Lumineth Realmllords player sets up 3 units from their army wholly within their territory, as shown on the map. The remaining units in the Lumineth Realmllords player's army start in reserve and will arrive as described later on. The Upstart then picks 1 point on the battlefield edge and sets up 3 units from their army wholly within 9 inches of that point. The remaining units are put in reserve. Lumineth player gets the first round. Now here's where things get wonky. So for the Upstart, at the end of the movement phase, the Upstart can set up 1 reserve unit in their army wholly within 12 inches of the battlefield edge and more than 9 inches from all enemy units. And then at the same time, the Lumineth player has to do a call for reinforcements. At the end of their movement phase, the Lumineth Realmllords player can call for reinforcements if a hero is on the battlefield and in their territory. If they do so, roll a die. On a 2-up, they can set up 1 reserve unit in their army wholly within 6 inches of the Baleful Realm Gate in the center of the battlefield and more than 3 inches from enemy unit. So here's the thing. This is a story, essentially, of the Upstart, a rival warband, coming into an area and finding a Realm Gate and trying to basically harass the existing guard, the 3 units who are there. Keep in mind, the Lumineth player... the only stipulation is you pick 3 units. If one of those is not a hero, you cannot call for reinforcements. So that's a big deal. The picture they have here is 2 Texas Longhorns and a bull boy in the back. For that exact reason, he would be the hero who could call people through. Whereas the enemy has no such restriction. They're always getting 1 unit per turn. Now the goal of this is for the Realmllords to defend the Realm Gate and the Upstart to attack it. So destroy the Realm Gate's the next set of rules. Units in the Upstart's army treat the Realm Gate as an enemy model, and they can only attack it with melee weapons, and it has a wounds characteristic of 12 and a save of 3. I really like when objectives have wound pools and they're not just static items you have to be around. I like the idea of having to defend a thing. The battle lasts for 5 rounds. If the Baleful Realm Gate in the center of the battlefield has fewer than 6 wounds allocated to it, and it's still around and everything, the Lumineth player wins a major victory. And then it goes into a whole bunch of things, kind of counting the different Like, how much did you win by making major or minor victories? It's whatever. And the bonus renown here, at the end of the battle, the Lumineth realm player adds 1 extra glory point for each friendly Lumineth Realmllords unit on the battlefield. And that really is your prize here for doing that. Getting a whole lot of glory points for your units, which translates into important things for sure. As far as missions go, I mean, I like when they set a scene and it's like a very specific thing. I'm not the biggest fan of factions trickling onto the field. It just kind of draws out games, but you know, it depends on the factions you're playing. It could be a lot of fun. Next one here is going to be Purged with Hessian Light. Should a liberated land be truly mired in ruinous taint, the Senari will brand the earth multiple runes to burn out the deepest and insidious corruption. At the end of a Path to Glory battle, you complete this quest if you won a major victory and have at least 3 friendly Lumineth Realmllords units on the battlefield. When you complete this quest, if you win a major victory in your next Path to Glory battle, you can pick 2 runes with which to brand the earth instead of 1. Okay, that's very interesting. It's an interesting one because there's no direct immediate benefit, but you have to major victory with 3 units on the field. That's how you complete it. If you do that, then on your next battle, if you win a major victory, so you're leaning into that back-to-back win, you get to pick 2 of these runes that we talked about. Next one is Preservation of Power. The Elves of the 10 Paradises know well that ether quartz can be highly addictive. When on campaign, they pledge to only use their Realmstone reserves when absolutely necessary. That's a core rule for their little faction. At the end of Path to Glory battle, you complete this quest if you won a major victory, and any friendly Lumineth Realmllord units that survive the battle still have at least 1 ether quartz reserve. I'm going to just put a pause there. I would get this every single time because I would just forget the ether quartz exists. So we're already off to a great start. When you complete this quest, in the next Path to Glory battle, you fight against an opponent using your Path to Glory army. Each Realmllord's unit starts the battle with 2 ether quartz instead of 1. Now what's cool is that only the units that survived have to be the ones with ether quartz left. So if you understand that you're going to sacrifice a unit and you know they're going to get wiped out, you can spend theirs. It doesn't matter. It's not like you never used it the entire game. It's just the ones that are left alive. So that's actually a nice one. I like that quite a bit. And what I like is that it's a temporary thing, right? It's just your next Path to Glory game, and you get 2 of them, right? It's pretty limited, yet that person's probably going to have a rough day, but I don't know. It doesn't have a feel-bad Z associated with it. Now let's check out Veteran abilities. First one here, Shining Exemplars. Once per battle, you can re-roll 1 run roll, 1 charge roll, and 1 casting roll for this unit. It's a great ability. I just don't want to keep track of what I've used on a unit or not, because it says and instead of or. So I get each of these, which is wonderful. I can run charge in better. I don't know. It's all great, but like I don't want to have to keep track of what each unit has used. Next one is Goading Company. This unit uses veteran ability once per battle at the start of the combat phase. When it does so, you can pick 1 enemy hero within 3 inches of this unit. That enemy hero can only target this unit in that phase. I love these kinds of abilities. Putting it on a cheap hero that you don't mind if they die, or B, you know they're not going to, like say Techless Longhorns units. Like there's just some wonderful things you can do with that. Being able to choose for your opponent what they have to engage is a wonderful ability, and it just makes the game interesting. Supreme Blade Masters. The unit can only use this veteran ability once per battle at the start of the combat phase. When it does so, ignore negative modifiers when making hit rolls for attacks made by this unit in that phase. That's wonderful. So buffs only, and it specifically says negative modifier. Gone in a flash. This unit can use this veteran ability once per battle. When it does so, instead of making a normal move with this unit, pick a point on the battlefield within 24 inches of it, remove it from the battlefield, set it up again within 1 inch of that point, and more than 9 inches from enemy units. A teleportation on a veteran unit, that's incredible. Just straight up, yes. Shut up and take my money, that's amazing. I think that is the one to get for your first one. After that, definitely explore things, but if you want some immediate utility from your veterans, once per battle teleportation is pretty hard to beat. Blessings of the Gale. This unit, excluding Alarith units, can use this veteran ability once per battle at the start of the enemy movement phase. When it does so, you can pick 1 enemy unit within 3 inches of this unit. That unit must retreat. Interesting. Okay, so wind spirits are harassing people. You can force somebody to retreat. Very interesting. Next is Gift of the Mountain. This unit, excluding Harukan units, can use this veteran ability once per battle before the start of the combat phase. When it does so, add 1 to the damage inflicted by attacks made by that unit until the end of that phase. +1 damage for your big Techless Longhorn boys. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I like the fact, just kind of reviewing these here, Gone Enough Lash is a utility one that you're going to want at least 1 unit to have for going and seizing objectives, just straight up. There's so much there. It's wonderful. But in addition to that, I love the fact that they put stuff specifically for the Harukan, the wind focus side of things, with the Blessings of the Gale, and then the Alarith, which is the Gift of the Mountain trait, more focused on the bulls and that kind of thing. So I like that there's something for those specific units to be able to strive for. It's wonderful. It's absolutely wonderful. Next we have their territories. And this is typically the most dicey part of these videos, because sometimes I just scratch my head at what Games Workshop comes up with. So let's see what they got here. First one. So this is if you roll a 61 through a 66, which should be like your critical success kind of thing. So you expect fun things from these, okay? 61, Scorched Earth. This territory cannot be controlled. And we're off like a wet fart. All right, so here we go. Realmgate Beachhead. This is the next one here. In step 3 of the Aftermath sequence, you can pick 1 unit on your order of battle to be sent to this territory on patrol. If you do so, roll a dice. On a 2-up, that unit gains 1 renown point. However, on a 1, that unit must either make an injury roll or have its casualty score increased by 1, whichever is applicable. And then the upgraded version is you can send 2 units. So this is a quick way to send a unit out and hopefully gain some glory points, which do have real world uses in terms of like rerolls and that kind of stuff, to be able to make units a little bit more dependable and effective. That's not a bad one at all. I mean, it's a choice. For someone who likes the granularity of keeping track of each unit's progress, that's definitely going to be a fun one. 63, Lambent Vale. You can never have more than 1 of this territory type. This territory has no effect until it's upgraded. That's not an impressive start. Okay, upgrade it for 25 glory points. Prisms of Power. In middle and higher tier battles, meaning you're playing against an equal or you are the underdog in a fight, add 1 to casting rolls for friendly Lumineth Realmllords wizards attempting to summon an endless spell. Or actually, the tiers might be the size of the game. Let me double check that. But that's an interesting one. I mean, if you're someone who likes the endless spells and you want to basically ensure that you can use them, that's not a bad choice. Especially because all these things, you just roll for them, right? And so if you get it and you're like, hey, I happen to be someone who likes endless spells, sure. Otherwise, meh. 64, Mountainous Shrine. Territory that you get, there's no effect until it's upgraded. Upgrade it for 15 glory, and then turns into an observation tower. In step 4 of the Aftermath sequence, roll a dice if you won the battle. On a 4-up, add 1 to the number of quest points you gain towards your quest, if applicable. That is a wonderful one to get early if you can. Just being able to knock through quests, which means more rewards, which means more, I mean, there's more to keep track of again, but that's such a fun aspect. What a boost. That's what it is. It's an XP booster. Illuminated Pathways. This territory has no effect until it's upgraded again. And then there is the upgraded one called All-Seeing Ambush. During deployment in a Path to Glory battle, you can set up 1 friendly Lumineth Realmllords unit as a reserve unit, in addition to any others you can set up as reserve units, like if they happen to. If you do so, at the end of your movement phase, you can set up that unit on the battlefield more than 9 inches from all enemy. So you get to put 1 unit in ambush, but they get like, I don't know, super scout powers from 40k, and they get to be set up anywhere on the battlefield outside 9. Keep in mind, they may not be well supported, so you got to think hard about your unit choice, but there are some wonderful choices for you in this book. Even if it's just a distraction card effects, that's all it has to do. And then last one here for 66 is Ruins of Faded Glory. You can never have more than 1 territory of this type, no effect until it's upgraded, and its upgrade cost is 30 glory, which is like a super investment. You can do the rune thing to cut that down by 5, but holy smokes. When you upgrade it, you gain Icon of Remembrance. In middle and higher tier battles, do not subtract 1 from the bravery characteristic of friendly Lumineth Realmllords that spend an Ether Quartz reserve. So yes, Ether Quartz, it gives you a small buff, but it also comes at the cost of a -1 penalty to your bravery. The idea is like parts of souls are getting whisked away, and it's just this whole kind of super dark and macabre kind of energy exchange going on. This basically removes negative side effects of that spell or that effect mechanic. And then we go into, again, there's their battle plan, and it goes straight into War Scroll Battalions, which really just exists to give you a framework for what the army might look like. So doing some overall thoughts on the Lumineth Realmllords Path to Glory. I love the idea of them, if you win a major victory, you stake your claim and you mark the realms as you go. I think that would be really stinking cool. I wish there was a caveat that you couldn't just spam one of them over and over and over again. That being said, they do have some great territory effects that you have to upgrade, and you will want to use other things besides the no casualties. It's just at the start of a campaign, that is a brutally powerful one for your opponents who, when you're all learning how to mitigate casualties and resurrection effects and how important that can become in Path to Glory, Lumineth player is going to have a big leg up on that one. But I do like it conceptually, and the fact that they have the things right there, like you could absolutely make a little game journal and keep track of which seals you've put down and kind of keep it as sort of a achievements, I don't know, thing, like getting all your badges as a scout or something. Their quests seem pretty fun. I mean, I always like the ones where they have a mission, and that mission seems very entertaining from a storytelling perspective about what it's trying to recreate. Yeah, I mean, I didn't have any strong feelings, honestly, about anything in their Path to Glory section, which is a bit of a bummer. I mean, I like to have excitement. The most excitement I had was looking at the veteran abilities for the Alarith and the Harukin. There's some really cool things here. Unfortunately, in terms of internal balance on this list, Gone in a Flash is just the best. It's just an ability that you could tell me that unit now costs 200 more points and I'd still probably find a way to use. Teleportation is so important in many of these games and missions, and so it's huge. Territories, Games Workshop stopped making 61 a dumpster fire. Like, a lot of these books have 61 be nothing, and it's like, if you rolled the 6, you deserve to be excited. You did the hard part. And so even if it's not exciting, even if it's just pick, a different territory and it gives you some examples that you can list from, give us something. Like, getting nothing is worse than territories you don't even like, right? Having that choice taken away from you is no fun. The others all seem really cool, but situational. I mean, depending on how invested you get in territories and accruing them, there are some really nice ones. I like Illuminated Pathways, having a scout kind of go up the table. And I'm somebody who would also be into the Lambent Veil, because I like endless spells if I had an army that played them. So friends, that is going to be it for me. Thank you so much again, Games Workshop, for sending this out. And if you'd like to support the channel, go check out Not Just Gaming. It would mean the world to me. I think Lumineth players will have a lot of fun. The nice thing about this faction is there's a lot of smaller heroes to be able to engage with more of these rules. Like, you can really build your own plot of someone ascending through different levels. So that is a big thing in their favor, which doesn't really come through in the Path to Glory section. But there's a bunch of cool heroes for the army. Anyway, thank you all so much for hanging out and listening and watching this video, and I'll catch you in my next one. Happy wargaming.